My name is Michelle Metzler. I'm a Director of Community Programs with the Recycling Partnership, and I am here today with two folks from Sarasota County who manage the county's recycling program, Wendy Crisp and Oland Stokes. And today we're going to be highlighting the areas where Sarasota County has really excelled to engage their population in recycling. So we're here today with Wendy and Oland to dig deep into what makes their program so successful and hopefully have some key learnings that we can share with other municipalities as they are on a journey to improve their own recycling programs. Sarasota County has a very high participation rate, meaning that the vast majority of residents participate in recycling. Nearly 96% of residents participate in the curbside recycling program, and 80% of those participants recycle frequently, meaning that they set out their cart at least 2 out of every 4 collection cycles, which is really outstanding. In addition to Sarasota County's high recycling participation rate, they also have been really successful at getting residents to recycle most of the materials that are accepted in the recycling program. They have over a 65% capture rate, which means that of all of the available recyclable materials that could go in the garbage or the recycling, the majority of those materials are going into the recycling.
Yeah. So Michelle, thank you first off for having us today. We're really excited to be part of this podcast. My name is Wendy Crisp. I'm the Outreach and Strategy Administrator here at Sarasota County in the Solid Waste Department. I've had an opportunity to work in this department for the last 10 years. I'm really happy to be a part of this department. We've got a great team who's very passionate about all things trash, including recycling. So it's really a pleasure to be here to be able to talk about our program today.
And I'm Oland Stokes. I'm the Solid Waste Collections Manager for Sarasota County. I've been in this position for a couple of years and just learning about the ins and outs of not only garbage, but recycling and yard waste. And I must say that recycling is the fun part of my job. So I'm happy to be here, happy to see what will become of this. And thank you as well for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Oland. So you said recycling is the fun part of your job.
Well,
why is it the fun part of your job?
Well, you know what? I would like to think that people recycle because it's fun, it's convenient, and not because it's mandatory in our county. We have one of the few counties that it is mandatory that you recycle. But we do some pretty fun things to make people consciously aware that they should recycle. So that is the fun part of it, making sure that we are on point, that people do understand the ins and outs of what we are trying to capture and come up with some fun ways of doing that.
So can you tell us a little bit about your recycling program?
Sure. So Sarasota County serves approximately 165,000 households and has offered curbside recycling services to residents for more than 30 years. So one of the interesting things about our community, recycling actually started as part of a voter referendum. So it was something that residents indicated that they wanted here in the county. It began as a dual stream program. So we had the red and blue bins where residents had to separate their materials. We always, Olin talks about this being fun. So one of the fun ways we helped residents remember what went in each bin, if you read it, it went in the red bin. So red bins were available for paper products. All of your other products, like your cans, your plastics, your glass, went into the blue bin. So that continued on for close to 30 years. And then we had an opportunity to change over to single stream recycling. And that transition actually wasn't too long ago. We started that conversion in 2019 and started the collection in 2020. So it's still fairly new, but we're really excited with what we've seen so far. And Michelle, as you mentioned, the capture rates are pretty high at this point.
What data do you collect on your recycling program, and why is the data important?
Oh, man. We collect a number of amounts of data for recycling. We take a look at the recycle markets, percentage broken down per commodity through a capture study that was done that tells us 17% of your total amount is this particular commodity. 5% is this particular commodity, and we're able to put that to a dollar amount of value that we assess or collect. But we still collect that data. of at least 2,250 tons per month. We collect quite a bit of data on a monthly basis just to see if we are doing things correct according to the community.
So, Oland, you mentioned that you do capture rate studies. Can you explain what that is and why you think that that's an important form of measurement for your program?
It kind of tells us, how we're doing in the community, if our efforts are worth it, what adjustments we need to make. And we see that in this capture rate study where we target a certain neighborhood. We tell them that they're participating in a study, and then we take a look at what we find, and we're able to pull out each commodity and put it into a category. And that gives us a percentage of what we're capturing. It tells us what we need to focus on more. I think the last one we did, we realized that cardboard, we need to focus on cardboard with multifamilies. So we look at these capture rate studies as a report card for us to tell us, how we're doing and what adjustments the community is asking us to make.
Yeah, that's great. I know that many communities calculate their recycling rate, but that really doesn't provide the level of detail that a capture rate study does, where you're able to look at specific commodities and specific issues and opportunities for improvement in your recycling program. When you just look at the recycling rate, you don't really know what the specific opportunities for improvement are, because all you're looking at is a weight or a percentage. And that's where I agree that the capture rate is such a good indicator for what you're doing well and what specific commodities need improvement.
So I think doing that on a regular basis gives us the opportunity to improve on a program that may already be doing well. There's always room for improvement, we say, but one thing that we have to do on our end, and that's one thing that Wendy is truly talented at, is making sure that what we do is not only convenient, but it's also fun. She comes up with some nice ideas to make the community consciously aware of what they should be doing.
Sarasota County's recycling participation rate is high. Why do you think that is?
Having an established program, 30 plus years, there's certainly a history of recycling in Sarasota. I think people feel like it's just kind of part of a way of life. It's interesting when we go into the schools because, we're talking to the children and they know so much about recycling. And a lot of times what we find is they're holding their families accountable. Like, oh, this, we need to recycle this, or we need to put this here. We need to, do this. So I think, just in all age groups and all demographics here, there's a sense of ownership with recycling for us. And kind of anecdotally, it was really interesting to Oland and I and really the rest of our team. Sarasota County was one of the counties that got hit by Hurricane Ian back in September of 2022. One of the things we had to do as we were recovering from the hurricane in the first few weeks was look at our curbside service and, how do we help the community recover? And, the decision was made to suspend recycling so that we could get garbage and yard waste back up and running. And I can't tell you how many calls we got from residents who, despite everything else that was going on, debris recovery, cleaning up communities, cleaning up their neighborhoods, and they were looking for recycling opportunities. They wanted to be able to recycle, and the thought of having to do something else with those materials was heartbreaking to some of them. And so, just to even see that level of interest in recycling, especially after our community's gone through this experience, says a lot about their interest in participating in that type of program and being involved in what the community is offering.
Why do you think residents are so committed to recycling?
I think that residents are very committed to recycling. It's just become a way of life. I think that it's something where Sarasota County has done a great job of providing the opportunity to recycle for the last 30 years, providing education, reminding residents about what it is, how it works. But we're also really lucky to live in a phenomenal phenomenal location. And, we have a local beach here that was named the #1 beach in the world 2 years. I think it was 2011 and 2017 by Dr. Beach. I think there's also a sense of pride in the community where people want to keep things clean and they want to do what they feel is the right thing. And so, it helps them to feel good about, keeping litter out of the environment, putting things in the right places, making sure that recycling is going in the recycling, trash is going in the trash. So I think it's really, almost even just a sense of community and buy-in to, hey, this is where we live. It's a beautiful place to work, live, and play, and we want to continue to keep it that way.
How do you currently encourage residents to recycle? And what can you tell us about the culture of recycling as it relates to residents?
We do quite a bit of outreach. And one of the campaigns that we developed in probably the last couple of years is called Think Before You Throw, No Matter Where You Go. And it was an opportunity to encourage people to make sure that they're putting materials in the right place. So, not only keeping our community clean, but by picking up litter, but also making sure that materials that can be recycled go in the recycling containers. And so this campaign is something, it's very fun. It's a series of very whimsical characters and locations. So I think we've got about 12 different venues that are depicted. So, you see a picture at the beach, think before you throw, no matter where you go, or at an area park or a playground or the school or the shopping center, the office building. So the library, pretty much any place you could kind of go in Sarasota County, we want to encourage that behavior. So we did a multimedia campaign. We've kind of talked about multimedia. So we not only had things posted on social media, we had it on our website. We were able to work through our county buses, and we had the little advertisements in our buses with the different pictures. We were able to do local advertisements. So we really tried to hit all different areas so that people would see them. They'd see different images every month. But really, again, just pushing that message of recycling is important. We also have a Keep Sarasota County Beautiful program that works with volunteers. So we're able to push education out through them. We do presentations to homeowners associations and to school groups and summer camps. Pretty much anybody that's interested in having us, we're happy to go out into the community to share our message, answer questions about recycling. One of my favorite things to do is I have a show and tell box. So whether I'm with the children at school or whether I'm with the adults in the homeowners association, we talk about, what goes in the cart. And we were very lucky to be able to partner with the Recycling Partnership when we did our single stream cart rollout and develop our educational material. And I always like to explain that, there's a graphic on the top of their recycling cart lid. And we explain those as that's the instructions. This is what goes in. Here's how you're supposed to prepare it. If you don't see it on here, when in doubt, leave it out. So that's another one of those creative sayings that we have.
I really appreciate how you mentioned that you have multiple messages that are around a central theme and also multiple ways to deliver that message. We all know that a mailing's not going to work for everyone, a bus ad's not going to work for everyone, a presentation at an elementary school is not going to get every household recycling. And so I think that it's great that you have all these layered approaches that when you sum them all together, you're able to really engage the entire community.
We're trying to breathe life into these characters, so to make people consciously aware, so that they're able to see themselves in each one of those scenarios. Gone as far as to give the characters names, just to carry through, to make them come alive, just to make people consciously aware of where they are and what to do with these items.
How do you fund your recycling outreach programs?
So we do have an annual budget that goes in for recycling education outreach programs. Our program as a whole is actually funded by an annual non-ad valorem tax that's collected through county taxes each year. But then we also have some other partners that assist us with those recycling education outreach efforts as well. So we've got a number of different sources that help us really complete the mission that we're looking to do as far as education and outreach. And I would say too, for communities that are inquiring about how to budget for them, there's so many opportunities out there. I mean, you've got your traditional print advertising, you've got a lot of online advertising, you've got traditional radio, but then, there's some other media things out there, like, social media doesn't cost anything. So that's a great way to get messaging out that will help somebody who's on a budget. You've got other media streams like streaming advertising or OTT over the top, where you can geo-target and place advertisements in specific locations or target a zip zone or a community. And so I think for anybody, who's looking at budget dollars, my recommendation would be to kind of take a look and see what type of campaign you want to run. Are there places where you can take advantage of free things like social media and then maybe complement it with some paid marketing? And then how do you want to do it? So, if you're going very traditional, do you have a younger market that's maybe more electronic versus an older market that maybe needs more print? Or, you really got to take a look at what resonates with them best.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. What are your future plans for the recycling program?
I think, there's still additional opportunities for education. We know that it's not something that you just put out one time, so it's something that needs to be continuous. It can go through kind of ebbs and flows where you have a heavy hitting campaign and then maybe dial it back a little bit and then you hit again. So that way that message continues to stay fresh. So I think, one of the things I think that if I can speak on behalf of Oland, we always look for fresh, new, exciting ways to be able to communicate what's happening and how things are working and how do we engage the community and keep them interested and keep things interactive. So, whether that's adding a new set of characters or a new scene to our Think Before You Throw campaign, or finding a new outlet to release the information to, or ramping something up here or ramping something up there. We're always just looking to make sure that content isn't going stale and that it's fresh and interesting to the community.
Yeah, thank you. I think that was a really important point. I think that, someone could look to you and say, Sarasota County's done it. You have this high participation, you have this high capture, you're done. But the work isn't done, because if you don't continue to engage residents in new ways, you're going to have a backslide in your performance. So I think that it's great that you recognize that the work isn't done and that you need to, if you want to maintain this high level program performance, you need to continue investing and continue to be creative.
The numbers that we collect on a regular basis, monthly, weekly, commodity rate studies and things of that nature, kind of gives us the opportunity to show them, yes, we are collecting recycle and here's what we're doing with it. It's not just going to the landfill. No, we are concerned about commodities and what they're doing. And here's the information that supports that.
Well, what recommendations do you have for other communities to help foster a culture of recycling and help establish programs?
I think it's important to, have a good pulse on your community.
And this goes totally against my nature, but you literally put yourself out there. I'm kind of introverted, so my tendency is to stay to myself. But it's amazing what happens when you get out in the community and you start talking to people. And, they tell you their stories, and they ask questions as to, where does this go? Where does that go? What are you doing with this? Why do you do it this way? And it definitely sparks a nice conversation, and also, makes you consciously aware of any adjustments that need to be made. But if you don't put yourself out there, you don't know. So I guess the first step is to get out there and listen to the people. You see what see what they're asking of you, and if you're a good steward, you'll respond.
I think one of the things that has also worked to our advantage is, being county government. There's obviously a lot of different departments, and we've had an opportunity to partner with a lot of our departments over the last few years, especially like when we rolled out single stream recycling. I mean, that was a multi-department, even though it was driven by solid waste. We had to have everybody from our staff in the contact center who could answer questions, our neighborhood services. There were things that were changing in public recycling. So we, buy-in from Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources. And, we've worked with our public bus system and our libraries. And so I think, one of the things that has been a really big benefit to us is having all of these different resources, just even within the county, to help us share our message. And so, if other groups have relationships, with other departments within their municipality, or if they don't have them, I'd encourage them to, maybe try to explore that as an opportunity. but I think that is something that's been super beneficial to us as a solid waste department. One of our very, very creative colleagues in the county had this idea that he wanted to jump out of a recycling cart and scare people. And we came up with a video called Single Scream Recycling. And the premise of it was that I was practicing for a public service announcement. So we invited some of our colleagues into the TV studio, and he actually was able to fit into a 65-gallon recycling cart. And so I would deliver my lines, and when I would say recycling, he'd literally jump out of the cart and throw newspapers at them and scare them. And it became Single Scream Recycling, and we were able to release that around the Halloween time. And it was actually a big hit through the video channels.
That's amazing.
So we like to have fun.
Well, thank you so much, Wendy and Oland, for sharing with us today about Sarasota County and your success that you've had managing a recycling program. You both offered some real tangible ideas that communities can take and hopefully deploy in their programs to help realize similar success that Sarasota County has had, and just really appreciate the dedication that you two have for improving your program. And also at the same time, keeping it really light and fun and real and connected to the community. I think that all of those things are so apparent in our conversation today and also are so critical to your success. So thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. And we just really applaud the work that you've done in your community and look forward to continuing to see what you all come up with in the future.